Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the Swiss Tuesday Night NBA. I don't even know how many games are on the board. 7, I think. I think there's 7 games on the board. I think I'm going through 5 of them. I have notes for... No, I think I'm going through 6, actually. So yeah, should be a nice video here. I missed videos the last 2 days, so I got to recap 3 days. Saturday went 1-1, lost a few dollars though because Bulls was a bigger bet. So I lost a few dollars on Saturday, got it back and then some on Sunday. I went 2-0 on Sunday. I had the Pelicans and Bucks. So that was a nice day. And then last night I won a few dollars. I went 1-1, but my bet that won was a full unit and it was plus money. So coming off a profitable Monday night, let's get into it. 7 games. Let's go.
Welcome to the Swiss. The Swiss. Hey, get the Swiss.
We got the Sixers on the road in New York again. We just saw this matchup 2 days ago. Knicks are laying 4.5 points at home here, and the total sitting at 212.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet, and according to the model, we should see a 2-point New York win. Final score 106-104 Knicks. Injuries and inactives, and we'll start with Philadelphia. Good news, Tyrese Maxey back on the floor for the Sixers. He missed the last few games. Maxey is back. Covington, Embiid, and Melton all still out though. So Philadelphia nowhere near full strength there. On the Knicks side, more good news. OG Anunoby listed as probable. So Anunoby might be back for the Knicks, or most likely will be back according to this report. Julius Randle and Mitchell Robinson are both still out, however. As far as betting this game, if you subscribe to this channel, you know I hate these home and homes, these doubleheaders. I don't really know why the NBA does them. These two teams just played in New York, same location. That was on, I think that was on Sunday. Yeah, it was on Sunday. Final score was 79-73 Sixers. So Knicks lost that game. It's got to be the lowest scoring NBA game of the year. Now, as far as betting this one, I know everyone's going to be talking about how Maxey's back, and that's obviously huge. But you know what? OG Anunoby being back is huge also for the Knicks. New York was 14-2 with OG Anunoby on the court this year. 14-2. Now, they played the easiest schedule of all time. If you look at their schedule during that hot streak, they were playing pretty much every single bottom 10 team in the NBA. That's who they were playing. But still, 14-2 is impressive. So with OG back, revenge factor, these two teams just played, I'd go Knicks minus 4.5. I didn't bet it yet. I don't know if I'll actually pull the trigger on it, but I'll go Knicks minus 4.5 for pass for now. Next game, Indiana on the road in Oklahoma City here. Thunder catching 6 points at home, total sitting at 235.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet, and according to the model, we see a 6-point Oklahoma City win. Final score 119-113 Thunder. Injuries and inactives, and we'll start with the Pacers. Nobody on the report with the exception of Doug McDermott. He's been ruled out, but he's been out. That's not new. So McDermott's been out for a while. On the Oklahoma City side, Jalen Williams is on the report, and this is the starting Jalen Williams, not the Jalen Williams that comes off the bench. He's listed as questionable, so we'll have to wait and see on him. He's an important piece of that team. Before we get into this one, we should probably take note that this is kind of a weird spot for both these teams. You got the Pacers, who are coming off a huge win on the road in Orlando. They're on the first leg of a back-to-back. They've got the Bulls on deck, a division game, a conference game, a much more important game. So the Pacers have a very important game on deck, but the thing is, so do the Thunder. The Thunder have the Mavs on deck, so it's kind of a weird spot where both teams have a more important game right after this. I don't know if that affects the bet or the handicap at all. I just thought it was interesting enough to mention. Betting trends on the Indiana side, 7-10 against the spread in their last 17, 2-4 against the spread in their last 6 on the road. On the season, they're 11-10 against the spread as road dogs. On the Oklahoma City side, just 2-4 against the spread in their last 6. They are 5-1 against the spread in their last 6 at home, though. So OKC at home's definitely been covering. On the season, they're 19-8 against the spread as home favorites. This particular head-to-head matchup is definitely tilted towards Indiana. Pacers are 5-3 against the spread in their last 8 meetings against OKC, 5-3 against the spread in their last 8 trips to OKC. So both of those trending towards Indiana. Pacers have also been trending heavily towards the under. 3-10 to the under in their last 13, 4-18 to the under in their last 22 on the road. Oklahoma City also trending towards the under, 1-4 to the under in their last 5, 0-3 to the under in their last 3 at home. This particular matchup, though, 4-2 to the over in the last 6 meetings. So let's match these two teams up on the court, and we'll start with some overall net efficiency numbers. You can see both these teams playing good basketball. In the last 10 games, Oklahoma City 3rd in net efficiency in the NBA. Pacers are 8th. That being said, both have played very easy schedules. Strength of schedule in the last 10. Pacers are 24th, Thunder 29th. So both of these teams might be a bit on the overvalued side right now. Before we switch off this graphic, I want to talk about the pace here. As we know, both these teams run an extremely fast pace. In the last 10 games, Pacers are 5th, Oklahoma City 6th in pace. That being said, neither team has had any problems playing against other teams that run fast pace. Check this out. Indiana, 7-3 straight up and 6-3-1 against the spread in their 10 games against other teams in the top 5 at pace. Oklahoma City, 7-3 straight up and 6-4 against the spread in their 10 games against teams in the top 5 at pace. So really, I mean, it's kind of nothing to go by there. Two teams that run fast pace that have both played really well against other teams that run fast pace. We'll start with the matchup for Indiana on the offensive side. And I like the matchup for the Pacers offense here. Not going to be many second chance points. OKC does have the rebounding edge, but Pacers should be able to get to the free throw line in this one. Also, as we know, this is an Oklahoma City defense that eats off forcing turnovers. Indiana's done a really good job protecting the basketball recently, so I think these numbers look solid in favor of the Pacers. Obviously, we can't talk about a Pacers-Thunder game without looking at the numbers in transition. Pacers, as we know, 3rd in frequency, 13th in efficiency. The fast break, a very important part of the Pacers offense. And Oklahoma City defensively against the fast break, 3rd in frequency, 2nd in efficiency. They lead the NBA in points per game allowed in transition. So this very well might be the best fast break defense in the NBA. That being said, you would think that's a terrible matchup for the Pacers. On the season, Indiana is 7-4 against the spread in their 11 games against top 5 fast break defenses. So you would think that's such a terrible angle for the Pacers, but they've covered the number at a high rate in these matchups. Shot zones for the Pacers offense, as we know, Indiana lives at the rim. In the last 10 games, they're 2nd in shot frequency at the basket, 14th in efficiency. Scoring points at the rim is a huge part of this offense. Thunder defensively down there, 22nd in frequency, but 3rd in efficiency. So they've done a good job protecting the rim. But again, another angle that looks positive for OKC. Indiana, 7-5 against the spread against top 5 defenses at the rim. So every time I think I find an angle, Indiana's results on the year debunk it. That being said, before we move on, we should probably point out that Oklahoma City's defense at the basket has tailed off a bit. In the last 5 games, they dropped to 24th in frequency, 15th in efficiency. And that's against a weak schedule. That's from the last 5. Played the Grizzlies, the Blazers, the Suns. I mean, not exactly teams that could score at the rim. They played the Lakers in there, so give them a pass for that one. But Oklahoma City's defense hasn't really been at the same. Now, it's 5 games. It's not a huge sample size, but they've fallen off a little bit down there. So I know it sounds crazy, and it doesn't look like it at first glance, but I actually like this matchup for Indiana's offense. But then we move on to the other side of the ball and look at the matchup for OKC's offense. Thunder definitely have the edge on this side. Pacers have the rebounding edge, so probably not going to be many second chance opportunities for Oklahoma City. But look at EFG in the last 10 games, 4th to 24th, turnover rate, 3rd to 18th. Oklahoma City's offense definitely has the edge. And unlike Oklahoma City, the Pacers don't have an elite fast break defense. Now, they're not bad. On the season, they're 9th in frequency, 21st in efficiency, 17th in transition points per game allowed. That's not terrible, but as we know, Oklahoma City is great in transition. On the season, they're 2nd in frequency, 10th in efficiency, so that is definitely a positive angle for the Thunder. And I got some good news for you if you plan on betting Oklahoma City in this one. Thunder seem to be getting back to their roots in terms of attacking the rim. If you remember, at the beginning of the season, Oklahoma City was unstoppable down low. Then, end of January into February, this OKC team, right around the All-Star break, was really relying on outside shooting out of nowhere. In the last 10 games, it looks like they're back. OKC 8th at frequency, 13th in efficiency at the basket, and that's a huge weakness for the Pacers. In the last 10 games, against a pretty weak schedule, mind you, for Indiana, 21st in frequency, 27th in efficiency, so that's a positive angle for Oklahoma City. That being said, and this is crazy, you would think Oklahoma City is going to eat all night at the rim in this one. In OKC's last 5 games against bottom 5 rim defenses, they're 4-1, but they're just 1-4 against the number. So they really haven't taken advantage in these matchups. I'm on the Pacers here. I think this game's going to be back and forth, bucket for bucket. I actually got a 6.5 on FanDuel. I already bet this one and put it in the Discord. I'm in on Indiana. Next game. Wizards on the road in Memphis. This one is a pick'em, I think. I mean, I see Memphis +1s. I see Washington +1. So let's call it a pick'em for the video. Total sitting at 218.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. According to the model, we should see a 6-point Grizzlies win. Final score 114-108 Memphis. Injuries and inactives, and we'll start with Washington. Landry Shamet's going to miss another one for the Wizards. Marvin Bagley also going to miss another game. Rashawn Holmes on the report, he's listed as questionable. So this Washington Wizards team that's already really thin in the front court, maybe missing both their fives. So might be a situation there for the Wizards. But on the Memphis side, I mean, what do we even do with this anymore? Vince Williams out, Zaire Williams out, Watanabe out, Marcus Smart out, Derrick Rose out, Jaren Jackson Jr. out, Brandon Clark out, Desmond Bane out, Scottie Pippen Jr. doubtful, Lamar Stevens questionable, John Conchar questionable, Goodwin questionable. Swear, I just read all that. That's what's on the injury report right now. This is crazy. And that doesn't even have John Morant on here, who's out for the season. Betting trends on the Wizards side, just 4-6 against the spread in their last 10 overall. Just 2-4 against the spread in their last 6 on the road. So the days of Washington auto covering on the road, they seem to be long in the past. On the Memphis side, though, just 2-4 against the spread in their last 6 overall. 0-4 against the spread in their last 4 at home. So some ugly looking trends on the Memphis side as well. This particular head-to-head matchup, Wizards are 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 meetings against Memphis, but they're just 1-7 against the spread in their last 8 trips to Memphis. Trends for the total, Washington definitely been trending towards overs. 7-4 to the over in their last 11 overall. 6-1 to the over in their last 7 on the road. Memphis also been trending towards overs. 10-6 to the over in their last 16 overall. They are 1-4 to the under in their last 5 at home, though. This particular head-to-head matchup has been all unders. 1-7 to the under in their last 8 meetings. 2-4 to the under in their last 6 meetings in Memphis. So let's match these two teams up on the court. We'll start with some overall net efficiency numbers. In the last 10 games, these have been the 2 worst teams in the NBA as far as raw efficiency goes, 29th and 30th. I will say Wizards get a little bit of a pass, though. They're 6th in strength of schedule in that span. So at least Washington can hang their hat on the fact that they played a tough schedule. Memphis strength of schedule back at 17th in that span. Something I want to point out here, the pace. Washington, first in pace in the last 10 games. Nobody's running a faster pace than the Wizards. Memphis all the way back at 26th. So polar opposites here. On the season, Memphis has decent numbers against fast-paced teams. They're 5-4 against the spread against top 5 teams in pace this season, so really no angle there. So we'll start with the matchup for the Wizards offense, and you got to give the edge to Memphis defensively here based on these numbers, but you got to keep in mind, these are numbers from the last 10 games, and we just covered that the Wizards have played a stronger schedule than the Grizzlies, so these numbers might be skewed a little bit in favor of Memphis, but still 16th to 21st in EFG, 6th to 13th in turnover rate. Something to take note of, though, before we switch to graphic. Look at the rebounding numbers on this side. Now, in the last 10 games, 27th and 30th. You might be like, who cares? Washington has been really good against bad rebounding teams. On the season, they're 11-6-1 against the spread against teams in the bottom 10 of rebounding rate. The reason this is fresh in my head is we just brought this stat up when Washington played Charlotte the other night. I bet the Hornets, I was on the receiving end of that. Washington covered that game. So the Wizards, when they get the rare opportunity to win the rebounding battle, they usually take advantage of it. They have a good win rate there. Obviously, when you're handicapping a Washington Wizards game, you got to look at the numbers in transition. It's by far the biggest strength for this team on the season, 4th in frequency, 5th in efficiency. Memphis defense against the fast break, kind of middle of the pack. They are 3rd in efficiency, but they're 21st in frequency, meaning they allow a lot of opportunities. So I expect Washington to get out on the fast break and score here. And there might be a pattern forming here as well. On the season, the Grizzlies are just 2-5 against the spread against the T-Wolves, Raptors, and Wizards. Those are the top 3 teams in fast break efficiency on the season. So Memphis, not a good win rate when they've seen these elite fast breaks. Shot zones for the Wizards offense, kind of tough because Washington takes shots from everywhere. They're pretty balanced offensively, but we can look at the interior. 53% of the Wizards shot attempts in the last 10 games have come from these 2 zones, in the paint and at the basket. But the Grizzlies have done a great job protecting the interior recently. They're 8th and 11th in efficiency in these 2 zones in the last 10 games. And if you switch it to the last 5 games, they're actually 2nd and 3rd. So I don't like that matchup for the Wizards there. That being said, let's pull up the above the break 3 numbers because Washington's been shooting some threes. 30% of the Wizards shot attempts in the last 10 games have been above the break threes. Memphis against that shot in the last 10, 22nd and 27th. So the outside shot should be there for the Wizards. On the other side of the court, we got the Memphis offense, and really not much here as far as the main 4 factors. Memphis does have the rebounding edge in the last 10, 9th to 17th, but as we pointed out, Grizzlies have played a much easier schedule. So something I will say, look at the free throw rate here. 2nd to 9th. This is a Grizzlies offense that's been relying on getting to the free throw line. I don't know if that's going to be here in this matchup against the Wizards. Wizards defense has been terrible in transition this season. It's almost the exact opposite of the offense. They have an elite fast break offense, a terrible fast break defense. Good news, Memphis doesn't really run much of a fast break, just 18th in frequency, 27th in efficiency. So that's a positive angle for the Wizards that they're playing a team that can't exploit one of their biggest weaknesses. Shot zones on this side, I mean, we can pull up the numbers on the interior, the short mid-range shot and at the basket, because the Wizards defense down there, absolutely dreadful. At the basket in the last 10 games, Wizards 24th in frequency, 26th in efficiency. I mean, it's bad. That being said, 12 feet in for Memphis offensively, there hasn't been much there all year. And in this matchup with no Jaren Jackson Jr., that offense just really doesn't scare me, which is why I'm on the Wizards here. I haven't bet this one yet, but pretty sure I'm down the lay the 1.5 in this one. It'll definitely be Washington or pass for me. Next game, Houston on the road in San Antonio. Spurs are catching 3.5 points at home. Total sitting at 224.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. According to the model, which is the 3-point Rockets win. Final score 116-113 Houston. Injuries and inactives, and we'll start with the Rockets. Obviously, I'm sure you've heard the big one. Şengün is out for Houston. I think I just read a positive report on him that he is avoiding surgery, so that's good news, but definitely not returning anytime soon to my knowledge. Cam Whitmore is also out for the Rockets. On the Spurs side, we have nobody on the report as of right now, but they just played a game last night against Golden State. With these back-to-backs, it wouldn't be crazy for a name to pop up on the injury report closer to tip-off sometime late in the morning, so we'll have to wait and see for that. Before we get into this one, we need to point out that the Spurs are obviously on a back-to-back. They just played Golden State on the season. San Antonio with 0 days rest, 2-8 straight up. They are 4-6 against the spread, so as a whole, not great in these spots. San Antonio betting trends on the Houston side, 6 in a row. 6-0 against the spread in their last 6 for the Rockets. Perfect 4-0 on the road in their last 4 too. 4-0 against the spread. 3-2 against the spread in their last 5 as road favorites. On the Spurs side, 7-3 against the spread in their last 10, even after that loss to Golden State. 8-5 against the spread in their last 13 at home. So positive looking betting trends on both sides here. This particular head-to-head matchup, Houston is 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 meetings against the Spurs. They're just 4-8 against the spread, though, in their last 12 trips to San Antonio. Trends for the total, Houston's been trending towards the under heavy here. 2-6-1 to the under in the last 9 Rockets games. 1-4 to the under in the last 5 on the road. San Antonio also heavily trending towards the under. 1-7 to the under in their last 8 at home. This particular head-to-head matchup, though, all overs. 8-4 to the over in the last 12 meetings, 4-1 to the over in the last 5 meetings in San Antonio. So let's match these two teams up on the court. We'll start with some overall net efficiency numbers. These teams are pretty close here. In the last 10 games, the Rockets are 18th in net efficiency. San Antonio's 21st. Strength of schedule about even as well, 3rd and 4th. So both of these teams are probably slightly on the undervalued side. Real quick, before we move on from this graphic, look at the pace numbers here in the last 10 games. 3rd and 4th. Both of these teams running at extremely fast pace. Now that's good news for the Spurs, because on the season, San Antonio is 6-3 against the spread against teams in the top 5 of pace. So the Spurs have played really well when they see opponents that run a fast pace. I mean, the Rockets are 6-5 against the spread in these same spots, so the Rockets haven't been terrible. They have a good fast break defense, but Spurs have played well. We'll start with the matchup for the Rockets offense. Houston should definitely get second chance points. They got the offensive rebounding edge, huge turnover edge. San Antonio is going to struggle to create turnovers. Free throw rate, though, we take a look at that. So they're 4th, but the Spurs defense is 4th. So this Rockets offense, used to getting trips to the foul line, might not be there in this one. Shot zones for the Rockets offense, you already know what we're looking for here. Houston attacks the rim a lot. They've been doing it all season. In the last 10 games, they're 5th in shot frequency at the rim. And the Spurs defense has terrible numbers down there. In the last 10, they're 24th in frequency, 24th in efficiency. So that's a positive angle for the Rockets. But when we saw these two teams play, who was doing all the damage for Houston? Şengün. He scored 5 points on the Spurs, and remember, he's hurt. He is inactive right now. Now let's take a look at the 3-point shooting numbers, and you can see Houston's taking a lot less of these. For most of the season, they were top 10 in frequency from this zone. Now they're back at 15th in the last 10 games. Look at San Antonio's defensive numbers out there. The Spurs might be the hottest 3-point defense in the league right now. So without Şengün scoring on the interior, I don't like this matchup for the Rockets offense at all. On the other side of the court, we got the Spurs offense. And if we use numbers from the last 10 games, Houston's defense definitely has the edge here. You can see they have the rebounding edge. They should be able to create some turnovers here. The only downside with the Rockets defense is they just can't seem to stop fouling. So Spurs, not normally an offense that gets to the line, probably can get to the line in this one. The big kicker for me on this side of the court, and honestly, this is what's keeping me off a Spurs bet right now. Spoiler alert, I'm leaning towards the Spurs. I haven't bet it yet because look at these numbers in transition here. So Spurs are a team that like to run the fast break. On the season, they're 7th in fast break frequency. Rockets have an excellent transition defense they have all season. They're 5th in frequency, 6th in efficiency. They've allowed the 4th fewest points per game in transition in the NBA this year. Now that alone wouldn't be enough to scare me off, but then I looked a little deeper at the Spurs season. San Antonio's just 5-11 against the spread against top 6 defenses in transition points per game allowed. So the Spurs have really not done well against these teams that can guard the fast break, which kind of puts me in a bind, to be honest. I mean, I can tell you straight up, there's no way in hell I'm laying 3.5 points with the Rockets here. I don't even think I would lay 3.5 points with Houston with Şengün right now. So without him on the court taking advantage of the Spurs' weak interior defense, there's no way I could bet Houston. That being said, am I going to get there and pull the trigger on the Spurs? I don't know. It'll be Spurs or pass for me right now. I haven't bet it yet. I'll let you know in the live show. Next game. Next up is actually Boston at Utah, and I skipped this one. The Celtics are still playing. I don't even have it on. I have the college game on, so I don't even have that game on. So, yeah, I didn't even look at this one yet. We'll go through it on the live show. Next game. Milwaukee on the road in Sacramento here. Kings are catching 2.5 points at home. Total sitting at 237.5. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet, and according to the model, we should see a close one here. Final score 116-114 Milwaukee. Injuries and inactives, and we'll start with the Bucks. Chris Middleton is on the report listed as questionable, so Middleton may be back in the lineup for the Bucks. Giannis is on the report. He's listed as probable. Other than that, Bucks should be good to go. On the Sacramento side, Vezenkov is still out. He's been out for a while. I don't even know if there's a timetable for his return. Keegan Murray is also on the report for the Kings. He's listed as questionable. So before we even get into this one, I kind of want to point out that I think this might be a horrible spot for Milwaukee. First of all, they lost 2 of their last 3. Their only win came against a shorthanded Clippers team that was playing their second game in 22 hours. So I really don't like the way the Bucks have looked. The defense has completely fallen off. Remember we were all kissing the Bucks defense ass like a week ago? Well, in the last 3 games, they're allowing over 123 points per 100 possessions and over 121 points per game. In the previous 6 games before that, 103.7, 98.7. So the Bucks defense that we were all praising has completely fallen off. And not to mention, for the Bucks, this is the final leg of a 4-game, 7-day West Coast road trip. They played 4 games on the West Coast in 7 days, and their game after this, home against the Sixers, which is much more important than a road game against the Kings. So this is a spot where the Bucks should definitely be a little tired finishing up a gruesome road trip across the country. Then they go back home to play a big conference game. So I hate this spot for Milwaukee before we even start. Betting trends on the Bucks side: Milwaukee 7-2 against the number in their last 7, 5-2 against the spread in their last 7 on the road, 4-1 against the spread in their last 5 as road favorites. So the trends look good. On the Kings side, trends don't look so good. 5-10 against the spread in their last 15, 4-13 against the spread in their last 17 at home, 1-1 against the spread in their last 2 as home dogs. This particular head-to-head matchup is definitely tilted towards the Bucks. Milwaukee's 10-5 against the spread in their last 15 meetings against the Kings, 5-2 against the spread in their last 7 trips to Sacramento. As far as trends for the total, Bucks have been all under. 4-15 to the under in the last 19 Bucks games, 4-14 to the under in the last 18 on the road. On the Kings side, though, it's been all overs. 11-5-1 to the over in the last 17, 8-4 to the over in the last 12 at home. And check this out. In this matchup between the Bucks and Kings, 17 straight overs. 17 overs in a row in games between the Bucks and Kings. That's a hell of a streak. 17 straight. We're going for 18 straight overs here. So let's match these 2 teams up on the court. We'll start with some overall net efficiency numbers. On the last 10 games, Bucks are 5th in overall net efficiency with the 15th strongest schedule. So that looks solid. But when you look at the last 5 games, they dropped to 18th in overall net efficiency. Now, the strength of schedule is still 6th. They're playing a tough schedule, but they haven't been as good recently. Matchup for the Bucks offense looks good here. I mean, 8th to 26 in EFG. Huge turnover advantage. Sacramento is really going to struggle to create turnovers. Bucks should also get plenty of trips to the foul line. The only category here where the Kings have the advantage is rebounding. So Bucks probably not going to get many second chance points. One angle I do like for Sacramento's defense is fast breaks. So Milwaukee, 15th in frequency, 3rd in efficiency. So they run a very efficient fast break, but they don't run it all that much. Sacramento, 1st in transition frequency. Now, they're 27th in efficiency, so when their opponent does get out in the fast break, they usually score, but they don't let you get out in transition much at all. In fact, they're 5th in the NBA in points per game allowed in transition. So I think these numbers, combined with the fact that Milwaukee's in the middle of a beast of a road trip, or at the end of a road trip, I should say, I don't think the fast break's going to be there for the Bucks, which means this Bucks offense is going to be living and dying by the jump shot, which isn't always good, especially on the road. I mean, you can see the Bucks have been shooting the ball well, and the Kings struggled to defend the above the break 3. That being said, they limit opportunities out there, so they're going to pressure the Bucks shooters, force them inside to take shots they don't want to take. I don't think this is as bad of a matchup for the Kings defense as it originally looks. So check this out. I forgot to mention this. This shows how much the Kings defense is limiting opponents above the break 3 attempts. On the last 10 games, they're allowing the 3rd fewest made field goals from out there. On the season, Milwaukee is 10-17 against the spread against top 10 defenses and above the break 3s allowed. So when you take away that 3-point shot from Milwaukee, they have not produced. On the other side, we got the Kings offense, and honestly, I don't really know what to do here. Because on paper, if we use numbers from the last 10 games, this is a pretty even matchup, right? The Bucks defense has some solid looking numbers, and the Kings offense, as we know, is a pretty good unit. But like I mentioned earlier, the Bucks defense in the last 3 games has looked like a shell of itself. I mean, it doesn't look like itself at all in the middle of this West Coast road trip. So I don't know if I trust this Bucks defense right now on the road in Sacramento. So I'm not even going to go through these numbers because I don't know what to think here. I like taking the Kings as dogs, and I hate the spot for Milwaukee. I mean, how is that not enough? I got to go with the Kings here. I'm going to go Sacramento plus 2.5. This is another one I haven't bet yet, but after I'm done recording, probably going to place a couple more. I'll post them on the website, the ones I do place, and then I'll let you know on the live show too. So yeah, I'm leaning towards Kings plus 2.5 here. Next game, Minnesota on the road in LA to play the Clips. I'm not going to go through this one because of the injuries, but I'll just put up some graphics real quick. So we got Clips minus 6.5, total sitting at 217. Let's take a quick look at the spreadsheet. I don't even have the spreadsheet up. Let's see what it says. According to the model, 109 each. Wow, deadlocked. 109, 109 according to the model. So you want to know why I'm not going to go through this game right now? Anthony Edwards questionable. Kyle Anderson questionable. Rudy Gobert questionable. Karl Anthony Towns out. That's what we're dealing with on the as far as injuries on the Minnesota side. But wait, there's more on the Clippers side. Paul George questionable. Kawhi Leonard questionable. Russell Westbrook out. So there's just no point in me handicapping this whole game when we don't know who's playing. Hopefully we have an idea. And on the live show tomorrow at 4 p.m., we can make some final decisions. But as of right now, I got nothing. Like I said earlier, we got 2 live shows tomorrow. The first one's at 11 a.m. Eastern time. March Madness is officially here. We got the Big 12 tournament starting, ACC tournament. Finally, some good games here for March. Things are getting exciting. So that's at 11 a.m. Eastern time if you're able to make that. NBA show, as always, 4 p.m. Eastern time. Same format as always. Hope to see you in the comments if you can make it. If you want my top bets, my overnight bets, that kind of thing, parlays of the day, join the Discord, all that, head over to KyleKirms.com. The information's right there on the homepage. Let's have ourselves a great Tuesday night, coming off a slightly profitable Monday. Yeah, I'll talk to you in the Discord.